Hello and welcome to another LifeWriting.com conversation. With me today is Elaina Chance of Embracing Chances. She's a licensed professional counselor and a fulfillment life coach. How are you, Elaina?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
This month, I am observing emotional intelligence and wellness, as well as a few others. I'm so glad my cousin was able to join me for this session. So, Elena, this is kind of for my edification as well, but a licensed professional counselor, a fulfillment life coach, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, those are a lot of words and titles, right? So let me kind of break it down. So for every state that a master's level therapist will have some sort of mental health credential. So they've either they got a master's in psychology, in counseling, in social work, in marriage and family therapy, and then they actually go sit for a exam and they get licensed by their state, and
Okay.
then they have a credential. So I actually have a master's in counselor education. We're in the state of Georgia, where I am licensed as a professional counselor. So I only practice counseling in the state of Georgia. A lot of different professionals, they sometimes have licensures in other states, but I just have mine in the state of Georgia. So I only see clients clinically for counseling in the state of Georgia. And
Okay.
so I went to school and got a graduate degree in counseling. So that's where my license comes from. Fulfillment life coach, on the other hand, is usually someone that has had experience and considers themselves a subject matter expert in a particular area and say that I now want to guide other people to reach a particular goal. And so for
Oh,
me, fulfillment was one of those things that I was searching for. I didn't realize I was searching for, but I really was in this place where I was looking my entire life. And I really feel like I have gotten into a good stride, that I am really in pursuit of fulfillment, and I love helping others do that. Now, life coaches, they do not have to have a particular training or expertise is not required, but most do. Most do go through some sort of training and some sort of background, extensive learning experiences so they can be a coach. But so I always tell people, just be careful when you're looking at coaches, that some people get
right.
trained, some don't. Some people just decide one day they want to be a coach and they're a coach and they can be very great at it.
Right.
But one of the things that I always notice when people are deciding to be a life coach in a particular area is that they have overcome that issue themselves, or they've
Mm,
actively been working in that issue, and they want to help others around them to do the same. And that's why I
right.
decided to become a fulfillment life coach as well.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And thanks so much for sharing it in that light. Fulfillment, and that makes so much sense now. And I'm glad you touched on the fact that typically someone has went through something themselves, right?
Right.
And me, that automatically tells me that makes you credible and bona fide in itself, because you
Yeah.
can literally speak to it, and having that information coupled with your formal training or education or what have you. But there's nothing like talking with someone or to someone who has been through the same or similar thing that you have. So thanks for sharing that. So emotional wellness, it means, and it looks like a litany of things, right? But from your standpoint, your professional viewpoint, if you will, what does emotional wellness look like to you?
So, emotional wellness and emotional health, in my perspective, is truly your ability to be able to adapt and cope with life stressors that we know happen all the time, and to be able to manage difficult times in a healthy manner, meaning that we know life happens, right? So there's ups and downs, mountains and valleys. But regardless of what's going on, that you have this constant state where you're being able to be high functioning or functioning to the best of your capacity. That means that you have your own toolbox, that when you're stressed, that you can kind of pull out and say, I'm feeling stressed right now, so now I know I need to rely on this or rely on that in order to make sure that I'm functioning at an optimal level.
Okay. Got it. Got it. I like that. I like it. And you used the word toolbox.
Yeah.
Um, in my organization development studies, uh, that's a term we use quite often, because that's just it. You use that symbol of a toolbox of having whatever you need in this kit. This is your go-to kit. This is something, some element, some tool within you can quickly or easily reach in and pull out on an as needed basis. Um,
Yeah.
Emotional wellness, like I said, it's a wealth of things. The way you just broke that out really simplified and gave a very vivid picture as to what it really looks like and how it could be facilitated. So, along those lines, embracing chances, right?
Yeah. My baby.
Your baby, embracing chances, and I obviously I love the name. I may be a little biased, my dear cousin, but I absolutely love the name. I totally get it. But embracing chances, how do you, what are some of the ways you facilitate the wellness process?
Yeah, so embracing chances is the name of my coaching practice. So when I was describing earlier about being licensed to actually be a counselor in the state of Georgia, I love counseling, but I've been doing it for over 15 years. And with coaching, I'm able to, meet people all over the world. And so that's why I created Embracing Chances to be a coaching practice where I can, not in a clinical setting, but in a coaching setting, guide people to really look at their lives and say, okay, if I am not at a place where I feel like I'm being fulfilled, then I can work with Elaina, virtually, in person, in a group setting, individually, and work with her to identify the three P's in life. And I feel like the three P's in life are essential for you to be fulfilled. And those three P's are, having purpose, having passion, and also having peace. And with those three P's, I feel those things are essential for you to being fulfilled. And that's why I created Embracing Chances. And I think that is a place for you to really be able to build up your toolbox. Because sometimes we have a toolbox and we have tools in it and we don't know how to use them.
Right,
I'm notorious. I'm not good with tools. I have a toolbox. I have a drill that's been in a box for over a year because I don't know how to put it together. But I have a tool, right? Somebody say you got the drill, so you should know how to hang up your
right.
curtains or put up this thing.
I
But
like
I
that.
don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Embracing Chances is this opportunity for you to really look at what tools do I have in my toolbox? Do I know how to effectively use those tools? And then also, does this tool really serve me anymore? Do I need to throw
Oh,
this tool out because maybe it's a little rusty?
that's good.
Maybe it's missing something and I've been using it and it hasn't been working so well. And maybe I need to go get a new one. And so that's
Right.
really what Embracing Chances is it really helping people like get those tools together so they can be emotionally well and have emotional health.
Wow. No, that's awesome. That's all. And those three P's, purpose, passion, and peace.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Purpose, passion, peace. Yeah. Yeah, all three totally resonate with me. I wholeheartedly agree. Um, yeah. Some other notes that I'm going to take and add to my toolbox as well.
Okay,
So yeah,
good
thanks again.
deal.
Well, Elena, I have to ask, we're still in the midst of a pandemic, you
Yeah.
know, um, that has, which has wreaked havoc in a multitude of ways, personal lives, professionally, etc. When it comes to, parenting, parents having to cope and guardians having to prepare their children, right, to be emotionally well. And I say all of this kind of loosely, but how how would you recommend? What are some of the suggestions you would make to a parent or guardian to again assist their child or children to be emotionally well or fit?
Yeah, and that's such a great question because the pandemic has been hard on us all. I in my counseling practice, I am working with a lot of different parents that are dealing with the struggling to balance having to be present for their children, especially last year with virtual learning, and then different type of working environments, working from home or having this hybrid situation, balancing childcare, and then just the stress of the world, right, in the midst of a pandemic, a social justice movement we had. So there's a lot of different moving parts that a lot of us are dealing with
Mm,
right now. And so one of the things that I've been working with a lot of my parents is that they're saying, hey, I'm wondering how I can be better present for my children. I
mhm.
always have them go back and turn back to them. How are
Mm,
you being better present for yourself?
right.
Because a lot of times we want to, especially when we're stressed, we want children to, we're always hyper focused on them, but we never necessarily turning it inward and being focused on ourselves.
Yeah.
So the
Good point.
best, for me professionally and personally, advice that I would give to parents is that check in with yourself.
Mm,
How are you expressing your frustration?
right.
And with your frustration, are you modeling that for your child? So you saying that, when how was your day? And your child say, oh, it was okay. And you can verbalize and say, my day, I was frustrated today. I really felt overwhelmed today. I had to take some time and just kind of sit and do nothing. That's modeling behavior and giving your child permission. It's okay for me to take a time out and get myself together. Or, you know what? I think I'm going to go talk to somebody, to make sure that I'm doing okay, because I want to make sure that I'm being the best parent to you, being the best partner, or being the best employee, and modeling to your child that it's okay to get support. And so, my advice to parents is for you to be that person that you want your child to be. If you want your
Right.
child to seek out support, to learn how to express their emotions effectively, then you have to do it. You have to do it first and model
Wow.
that behavior yourself.
Absolutely. So I really appreciate that response, and you actually addressed one of the questions I was going to pose. I was going to ask a question from the opposite end, from the kids, right?
Right.
Especially these college age kids.
Yeah.
Some of the things that they can do, should do, however you want to categorize it. Can you expand on that from especially a college age kid's perspective, who it may be their first time away from home, right? And all of
Yeah.
the things that they may have to contend with on the daily. Can you address that?
Yeah. So I would say this. So my background, I don't know if you even know this, Chris, is that I used to work in college counseling centers. So
No,
for
I
most
wasn't
of
aware of
my
that.
career, I worked in college counseling centers at major universities or 2-year colleges. So one of the things I've noticed in my career is that there's definitely been a shift of acceptance of getting support than it wasn't there when I first started. We At the beginning of my career, we had to pull people in to come get services. Now there are waiting lists all
Wow.
across college counseling centers because college students and these Gen Zers today, they really believe in the power of therapy and being vocal about how they feel. But still
That's
it's
true
in this
too.
space that I think that there's the power of groupthink and acceptance, and you want to present yourself as doing okay.
Mm,
um so it's a catch 22, is that they believe in the power of seeking out support and seeking out help, but then you also want to make sure that you don't get into this place where you're having to present yourself as being well for the sake of saving face, so to speak. So I would say just be your authentic self. Check in, go home when you can, build a social, network, try new things, try meeting new people. It's so important for you to gain connections at home as well as away from home, so you can have your own tribe. And so I always get concerned
absolutely.
with students, they isolate themselves and they only want to concentrate on one tribe. I only want to focus on my friends at school. or I
Right.
only want to focus on, back home. You have to build a sense of community wherever you at. And it's great when you have a community at both. And so I like, continue to have connections back home with your family and with
Hmm.
old friends, but also try to build that sense of community as well as that new space. And so you
Right.
always feel like you have some support or someone to talk to wherever you go.
Awesome. Wow. That now that's a wealth of information. Uh, the phrase I always like using, some nuggets, some tools that you can really
Mhm.
use. Yeah, my daughter is a senior in high school. Getting ready to venture off to college, and I have a couple buddies who's my some of my nephews, extended
Yeah.
nephews that are first year in college or what have you, and they're doing well, and thankfully, thank God, their parents have equip them.
Hmm.
They have that support cast, that network, as you mentioned, that tribe,
Right.
already in place. I trust what you're saying. I see, I can sense, I can feel that Elaina knows what the heck she's talking about. Okay. Um, but creating that space to, um, how should I put it, for others to entrust you, right?
Right.
Um, it's a tall task, for
It
folks
is.
to trust someone to share all of this personal information with, right? Why should someone trust Elena and embracing chances?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking that because counseling and coaching is very personal, right? And, being able to open up and share about your past, your present, and your future with someone you don't know can be, very jarring.
Right.
So, one of the things that I want to say to everyone, especially, going into my coaching practice, is that I've been there. So I walk the walk. I am someone who is a therapist and who is also a coach, who also has a therapist and a coach, right? So it was important for me to put myself in a space where I'm vulnerable, where I'm practicing my trust. And that's one of the things about it, is that you have to look at people's, credentials, you have to look at their background, but you also have to trust your gut. There's sometimes, you can sit with somebody and it just not be a good fit, and that's okay. And, I'm not one of those people that try to force people to work with me. I want you to feel comfortable working with me. I have, like I said, I've worked in college counseling centers, I've worked in private practice, I've even worked as a facilitator for domestic violence programs with men, the perpetrators. And I did that for almost a decade. And imagine me coming fresh out of grad school, working, doing facilitating men's group as a
Wow.
23-year-old, court mandated. And they looking at me like, for real? For real, what you gonna say? What you gonna do? And then after that 24 weeks, we're giving each other hugs and high fives and saying, best of luck. So it's about,
Wow.
my whole focus is that I want people to live their life on purpose. I don't want anyone to kind of get into this space where they feel like I should have, would have, could have.
Yeah.
And my whole goal is that whatever those barriers and roadblocks are for you, I want to partner with you to help you identify them and also help remove them. And once they're removed, I don't believe you just remove things and go on with your life. You have to put in, some replace those roadblocks with more positive, enriching, and fulfilling, task and growth areas, so you can manifest into the person you want to be. Like, we have this goal of where we want to be and what fulfillment looks like. I don't necessarily believe that we ever reach that goal, but it's about
Mm,
the pursuit of
I
that
like
goal.
that. I
It's about
totally
the
agree.
pursuit of going there. There's always going to be more that we want to do, more that we want to accomplish, more that we want to achieve. But it's, if you are in this place where you are fulfilled about your journey,
Hmm.
then I think that's the win right there. And I want people to stop saying like, I can't believe that I'm still doing this. I wish I would have done that. No, let's look at what's stopping you from doing that. Or maybe that you really don't want to do, and you brainwash yourself and telling you want to do that. And let's
Oh,
talk
wow.
about that. And let's
Great
have
point.
courageous conversations about that. So again, my hope is that, people decide to work with me is because they want to change the trajectory of their lives, and they
Right.
want to do it in a meaningful way. I'm not one of these people that I feel like I need to have like 50 people at one time coaching them. I love the power of one-on-one. I love the power of small groups because I don't like to do all the talking. The work happens when the other person is talking and you're
Absolutely.
growing. If I'm doing all the talking, then something's not right. Okay.
Absolutely. No, great points. That is so spot on. And you touched on topics that I've observed, life wellness and self care, self
Right.
improvement. Just last month, yeah, hey, look, you convinced me minutes ago, if not years ago, just by
Okay.
innately being my cousin. But
Job
no,
done. High
bring it, bringing that type of and not just the core expertise, but someone with a little flavor. You got a little pizzazz about them, and energy, right? Having that energy and can transfer it and can create that environment. That in this case, that trusting environment, given the fact that, like you said, people are going to share some pretty intimate,
right.
uh,
Right.
if not secrets or what have you, things that
Right.
they've never shared anyone that have created so many roadblocks for them, that aren't allowing them to get to where they really want to be. And I got to touch on this right quick. What you said with respect to you never really reach that point. You're always striving, to get there. I like the way you frame that because you're right. You should always be striving to do whatever. And if you realize you can't, or you haven't realized a particular thing that a goal you set, months ago, years ago, whatever the case may be, find out what's going on. Reach out to
Okay.
someone who you trust, who can help you get to where you feel you
Right.
want to be and where you want to go. So, having said that, folks need to contact you. They need to reach out to Elaina Chance of Embracing Chances. I have your contact information here. I know you are on Facebook at Embracing Chances with Elaina Chance, as well as
Yes.
on Instagram and YouTube, Embracing Chances. So, folks, go out
Brand
there.
new YouTube page.
There we go. Like, subscribe, the whole nine. Follow this young lady because, again, you're going to be gifted and blessed with a lot of meaningful and helpful information. For those of you who don't do the Facebook or IG thing, here is her email address.
Yes.
Just reach out to her, email
Old
her.
fashioned email. That's my favorite.
Yeah, there we go. Elena at embracingchances.com. Pretty straightforward, easy to remember. Uh, Cousin, this has been a joy, a pleasure, and very enlightening and uplifting at the same time. I really thank you. I owe you tremendously for
No, thank
imparting
you.
these words, these wisdoms. Always good seeing you. I'm going to be talking to you soon. Thanks again for imparting this information.
Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative. It was an honor. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. I'll talk to you later, okay?
All right. Take care. Bye
All
bye.
right. All right, everyone. That was Elena Chance of Embracing Chances. I thank you guys for always supporting lifewriting.com, where writing speaks.